Charlie Munger, one of the world's wealthiest investors, best known for his role in helping Warren Buffett and being his right-hand man at Berkshire Hathaway, passed yesterday at age 99. And there were a few stocks in his portfolio that helped him to get a $2.6 billion net worth. So in today's video, I want to break down what were his top 5 stocks, what are our thoughts on them, and do you happen to have any in your portfolio? Let's go ahead and break it down. Charlie Munger, just like Warren Buffett, subscribe to the value investing philosophy where they are trying to buy and evaluate businesses but get them on the cheap. Buy a great business for an even better price is one of the phrases that they are perhaps most known for. So what does he own, or what did he own, and what does he own the most of? That is how we're looking at this list, basically seeing how many shares he had and how much money did he have in these particular stocks. So the first one here, and really these fall into one category, so 3 of these fall into the banking sector, and then you've got the other 2 stocks that are not in banking. One we do own, or I own rather, that I've been telling y'all about that stock for years, and then one that's a little harder to get your hands on. So first, U.S. Bank. U.S. Bank is, I would say, medium tier bank. I want to say regional, but it has U.S. in the name. But you guys get it here. They're up 23% in the last 6 months, but down 18% in the last year. For a lot of these banks, the last 2 years have been, I'll say since COVID, banks have been a little wonky. But remember, he was 99. He's been having these stocks probably longer than I've been born. Okay, so he was in the green, but those who are investing right now, you definitely want to be a lot more cautious. I would also add in this category Bank of America, which he did own. Warren Buffett also owns a good share of Bank of America. This one is up just 7% in the last 6 months, but down 17% over the last year. And then the last bank here is Wells Fargo, which is not my favorite bank. I really have a disdain for Wells Fargo for personal reasons, but they are up 11% in the last 6 months and up 10% over last year. I would argue, at least from a national banking perspective, Wells Fargo is probably the best stock. Again, I have my beef with it, but it is what it is. There was also a quote in CNBC that talked about when he bought a lot of these banks, they were absolutely dirt cheap, and that he was guaranteed to make a profit, which I'm sure that is the case. Okay, so when you're buying a lot of these companies very, very cheap, including Wells Fargo, which became a very large national brand. Remember, pre-2008, Wells Fargo is not the Wells Fargo that you know of today. They bought Wachovia and several other regional banks to get as big as they were. He bought in well before that, so that's probably one of the reasons why he continued to hold it up until his passing. The next one here is a company that I've been telling y'all about, that I've been holding myself as an investor, and it's one that he bought way back in 1997. That company is Costco. Costco is up 16% in the last 6 months and up 10% over the last year. That is a solid performance number. Obviously, there are tons and tons of companies in the tech space that you can get a lot more from, which we have talked about before. I like Costco because of its quality, the way it treats its employees, and just the business model of how that company runs. It's not to say that it is invincible by any stretch of the imagination, but consistently, at least from what I have seen, it usually beats out Walmart, and it is somewhat insulated from an Amazon because you can't get, or it's not easy rather, to get bulk items right from an Amazon. There's such a great experience going into a Costco, which all fits into their brand. So Costco, one of the stocks he bought way back in the 90s and has continued to hold. But it's the company that he bought in 2008, which is perhaps the most interesting. Both Warren and Charlie have been, so what I'm looking for, reticent or hesitant. Hesitant is a better word. Yes, they both rhyme. But he has been hesitant to jump into new technologies. But in 2008, he bought the electric car company, a portion of the electric car company BYD, the Chinese electric car company, which is a direct competitor to Tesla. And he made a great point about this. But he invested in 2008 $230 million. $230 million. At the time of his passing, which was yesterday, that share, that stake that he bought is now worth $2.4 billion. He basically multiplied that times 10, which is an incredible investment. And the interesting thing about the company, and the thing that he brought up, is in China, right? Remember, BYD is the main competitor to Tesla there, so they're both in the electric car space, is that they were increasing prices. BYD was increasing prices while Tesla was cutting prices, which kind of shows you a little bit of what we had talked about with Tesla, where they're trying to become more competitive and there are more cars in that space, or they're trying to bring it down from a luxury item where only a few people have, where it can become a mass market product, where BYD is saying, look, we are where we are and we're going to actually increase our prices and make a bit more in margin. So just the way that that was kind of looked at was interesting and kind of gives me a little bit more context for what BYD is, and then also where Tesla is as well. Now, if you're wondering right now, well, can I buy shares in any of these? 4 of them you can. The 5th one, BYD, might be a little bit more difficult. It is trading on the over-the-counter markets. These are kind of niche stocks, and when I checked, it was under ADR, which means American Depository Receipts. You should call your broker if you want this stock. Okay, now, when I looked at it, the stock hadn't been all that great over the last year and over the last 6 months, but again, he bought it way back in 2008. Okay, so everything was dirt cheap and easy to buy back in 2008. So you do want to do your research there, and obviously know that the risks in China are a whole lot different than what they are here. So personally, I don't recommend buying BYD because neither of us are in 2008 at this point in time, but that is perhaps the biggest and best investment that he owned at the time of his passing. So quick recap: BYD, Costco, Wells Fargo, US Bank, and Bank of America. If you want to learn more about investing, but specifically what type of stocks may work best for you and who's investing in those, you might want to check out this video right here.